Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to the Queen Amina Show. It's a wonderful, wonderful day. It's Monday, the beginning of a brand new week, and a brand new day, and brand new opportunities. I hope you are staying tuned, staying in hope, staying in faith, expecting great things to happen for you this week, just like I am expectant of great things to happen to me this week. So, we are going to kick off the week with our Mo Monday, Motivation Monday. I call it the 4 M's because our special guest, her name and her last name starts with M also. Not a coincidence, God orchestrated. So, today we're going to have super fun on our Motivation Monday with Dr. Marlyn Morris. That's where the 4 M's come from. So within this month, the next four consecutive weeks, we're going to be having some series of great Motivation Monday focusing on raising resilient families in the 21st century. Our focus will be partnership. So she's going to help walk us through how we can, achieve these things, bring up our youths in the way they should go, and, encouraging, empowering parents and children, in different areas. So let me not give much away. I am going to bring her up. But before I do that, please go on your phones and repost. Let us not be selfish. Let's help other people to come on this broadcast also so that they can, learn from Dr. Marlyn Morris. So share, just like I'm doing now, repost, host a watch party, do something to help somebody, basically, is what I'm saying. So that way everybody is enjoying what you are enjoying. Don't enjoy alone. Let's bring up our guest and say hello to Dr. Marlyn Morris. Welcome to the Queen Amina Show, my mentor, my doctor, my Morris, my Marlyn. How are you doing?
Well, I'm great. And thank you, my queen, for inviting me to participate in Motivation Monday. It's truly a wonderful opportunity, and I treasure it. And I know and I believe that we are going to do amazing things for our listeners as well. We have to think positively for us to bring about the change we all seek together. Okay? So I'm looking forward to this.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You look wonderful, by the way. I got to give you
Thank
that.
you.
You look amazing. I love the hair. I love the makeup. Everything is on point.
You're good for my soul, right?
That's right. Great to see you, Doctor.
Thank
Um,
you. Thank
yes,
you.
Dr. Morris, for those of us that don't know you, some of our viewers don't really know who Dr. Morris is. And I know Dr. Morris is not just an ordinary Dr. Morris. So, could you please tell us a brief summary of who you are, what you do, the many hats that you wear, please?
Okay, do you have time?
I do. Take it away.
Thank you, my queen. I am an expert trainer, strategic policy and planning expert with a PhD, law degree, you name it. I have the Ontario College for Development Training. I'm also a certified transformation coach and a trainer of coaches as well. As an educator, I go right across the spectrum from the young ones for social and emotional learning. I teach them that into the graduate studies at university. I do teach a master's degree in urban and regional planning because I am also a town planner or certified town planner. Okay. So I am many things, a writer, motivational speaker as well, and so it's a whole range of things that I do. In my coaching, I focus a lot on parenting strategies, and I'm also a researcher. A lot of my work comes out of the fact that I am also working with the United Nations system. I was designated as one of the 34 women expert trainer and researcher into domestic violence against women and girls for the Caribbean region. And right here in Canada, I also participate in the Gender Equity Hub. So, Women in Development is also my platform, and families and men as well, raising resilient families in partnerships. And that's really my focus a lot on. I focus a lot on that as well. Okay. It is my desire to make sure that whatever knowledge and wisdom that God has given me, that I share it in celebration and elevation of the human family. This has been my mission. I am a roadside preacher, you could say,
I
and
love
teacher
that.
as well. Okay. So I try to combine all my levels of competencies and different competencies in helping to celebrate humanity. I truly believe in human dignity, because when you understand human dignity and the importance of it for establishing self worth of people, you do not see color. You
Mm,
see the human family
mm,
as brothers and sisters, aunts and uncle, one community that
amen.
will help each other to change lives.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my philosophy. Look and understand the value of human dignity. And when you understand that, you underline that with the basic principle of love, love for the God you serve, love for humanity and your neighbor, and love of yourself.
Mm,
But I dare say, if you don't love yourself, how can you love others? Okay.
mm,
So we need to begin from that basic principle of understanding humanity, human dignity, which is self worth. And when we are coming from that perspective, we don't have room for prejudices and biases in this
mm,
life. Okay.
mm.
So
Awesome. Thank you so
I can
much
go on if
for
you
that.
want. I'm excited.
There's more. There's more to come. So before we go into the topic of today is Motivation Monday, yes, but we're going to be focusing on the theme Raising Resilient Family in the 21st Century, the partnership approach. Before we go into that, recently you did something and made out of many things that I know personally that you've been doing. I have personally benefited from your training at your college. And I am using that. Actually, that is one of the trainings that I used to launch my own talk show. And today, this platform is growing and blessing people from some of the knowledge that I got from the training that you give to me one on one. And you extended this training to strangers that you've never met, never known. They just came through me. I introduced them to you, and you communicated with them, and you found something interesting in them, and you decided to add value to them. And a testimony came out of that recently that I shared with you. Would you mind sharing that with our audience? Not to glorify yourself, but to show our audience that these little trainings that you add to people's lives actually can change somebody's life and turn their lives around. If I say it, it's going to be like, oh, yeah, she's just trying to promote her platform. No,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
want them to hear from you the little things you do in life, how it could really change somebody else's life.
Well, it's very interesting that you should say that. I'm always a believer, deep believer in humility. It's the greatest principle that one could ever have, being humble.
Mhm.
When you work from that point of view, everything in the universe conspire to help you.
That's right.
It is a very important principle. And you cannot be afraid to share,
Mhm.
even to the point of doing it for free, especially when people really cannot afford, but you see a great need. I am a
Mhm.
firm believer that if I can help somebody acquire the knowledge that will make them better in this world, in this life, right? They may not pay me as they should, but others will also facilitate, right? Our resources are shared right across the board, okay? And so it is all about what kind of impact you're going to make to this person's life that will redound to you, maybe not tomorrow, but next week or next year,
Mhm.
because we are on a journey in this life and we never know, never what will happen next to us. And so when you help others, right, even when they can't afford, but you help them, you are also sowing seeds of goodness
Mhm.
that others can follow truly. And I've proven it every time in my life. And you just mentioned something recently that happened to you and I, and you can tell the story. I want you to share that story. And
All
it's not
right.
about elevating me either. I want
No.
people to learn, how you can bless others and it
Mhm.
redounds to your benefit in the end.
So recently, guys, this is more of not just a story, but actually a praise report. So recently, I introduced Dr. Morris to three young Nigerians from Nigeria that have been doing background works on my platform for me. And Dr. Morris spoke with three of them. They're young people under the age of 30, each of them. And she saw that there are potentials in these children, but no opportunities to help elevate and improve whatever they're doing. So she decided to train them for free in her college with her materials, which should cost, I think, each about 7,005 each, between 5 and 10,000 each. And she decided to do this for free. Never met them, never may meet them, so you never know what life could be. But after the so many weeks of training, they were certified, they completed the training. And one of them called me 2 days ago, right? It was two
Yes.
mornings ago. And I was super excited with that call. And I put Dr. Morris on three ways to say, this is the seed you sow, and this is how it's growing. So the person actually took everything that she learned and now started a poultry farm in her village. And that poultry farm now, it's bringing food to her family. And not just that, the amazing thing is she's now able to expand the poultry farm, and she is employing people in the local village there, so they have a job, they have money to be able to feed their families, and the student is also able to feed her family now. So why are we sharing this? And she's planning to learn more how to expand the farm. Right now, she's at I think 5 crates of egg every day that she's able to give away. This is somebody that had nothing. They like their hope was lost during this pandemic time. Her husband lost her job. She has no work, nothing to do. But just because of a seed, somebody from over 5,000 miles away, which is Dr. Morris, decided to sow a seed virtually into somebody else's life, and look how much their lives have changed. So I
Mhm.
just want to use this medium to say to each of you watching, there is never anything too little to sow into somebody else's life, because that seed could become a giant cedar tree that
Yes.
is planted by the riverside, and it will never wither if the person waters it properly. So go ahead, take the opportunity that comes your way to sow into someone's life. Please do. Don't ever be an agent of destruction. Be an agent that builds, because as you're building yourself. Emotionally, me and Dr. Morris were super excited when we heard this story. Is it going to give us any monetary benefit? No, but the joy of knowing that another human being is doing better than where they were before they met us, we are so happy. And I want God to continue to use this platform to bless people beyond the walls of Canada.
Yes.
I want people to be blessed. So if you know anything that's going to bless somebody, don't hesitate to bring it on to me. I will put it out here on this platform. So Dr. Morris, God bless you is the highest thing I can ever say. Thank you is not enough, but God bless you is what we would say. So yeah,
Thank you,
that's
my
our
queen.
short introduction. Good story. Today's Motivation Monday. So we got to tell you stories like this to motivate you that there is hope and you can do something in somebody else's life. All right. So, Dr. Morris, without much ado, let's dive into what you have for us today.
Okay, all right. Lots to talk about. And as we said, our theme for the next 4 or 5 weeks or thereabout, Motivation Mondays, is all about raising resilient families in the 21st century. Just imagine for a moment a world where children are comfortable with who they are. They know their gifts and their talents and use them in positive ways. And they have people supporting them, like their parents and other partners that we identify that we need to use to raise these children so that they become successful, not only in academics, but career and life itself. Okay? And this is what I preach about every day and teach about how we can build that world. And for some people, I know you might think, oh, that's pipe dream. But it is not. If every one of us begin to think that we have a contribution to make for the cause of humanity, so we can get a world of peace, transforming lives for the better. Is it fair that we live in a society and you look around the corner and people live in such poverty? And I'm not talking about poverty of the mind, I'm talking about real poverty right here in Canada. Homelessness, poverty, rampant in our own Canada, where everyone in the world thinks, okay, you have all the resources to do better. So the question is, why is it not happening? And then we have such division. And yes, we must now begin to call strongly for unity in diversity. Because all of us, every single one of us, whatever our cultural heritage, we have resources that we can share so that we can better this country, one community at a time. It's very important that we begin to advocate for that kind of change. So we get rid of the prejudices and the biases and some of the things that keep many of us invisible, even though we desperately seek to make a contribution and to understand how to approach life in partnership with everyone else. Okay? Just imagine. And by the way, I am focusing for the next 4 weeks on the parenting partnerships and other partnerships to raise resilient children who are going to be the next generation. And by the way, there is the Gen Zers. Well, these are the youngest ones. Okay. We have the millennials, the Generation X and the Generation Ys, and of course, people like me. I am the baby boomer, but I'm only 25, mind you. Okay. So we have to begin to be conscious, to raise the awareness that we have to approach the development of humanity from a partnership approach. Okay. And we have to begin with the foundational stage of nurturing and socialization of our children, by the way. And yes, I have been trained in child psychology. And I am also a trained teacher, curriculum developer, and all of that. I am focused a lot on education and social and emotional learning so we can help to change the paradigm of what is happening in our world. Okay? Just think about it. Okay? Yes, there is no manual for teaching us how to parent. And interestingly, we are living in the 21st century now, where science and technology are now dictating how we approach life, how we do work, what we do to earn a living. It's the fourth industrial revolution, by the way. We have come out of the first one years and decades ago. And so we are now looking forward, and we have to now begin to raise families to occupy the spaces of the 21st century. All right? With relevant skills, for example. And I go back to the parents. Many of us as parents, we don't have a manual to teach us how. And so we use traditions. And there's nothing wrong in traditions. But the point is, we have to understand that that young boy or girl that we gave birth to is now living in a new universe of global perspective. And by the way, they now have in the palm of their hands their surrogate parents in the smartphone. Think about it. They are learning many things from the smartphone and the Internet of Things, and some of them are smarter than their parents. And so, in our research, we are finding that parents are becoming alienated. They don't even know how to manage and raise these children resiliently, because many of our children are being raised by the new technology of things. And so, when you're talking with them at home, especially the latest one, the Gen Zers, and these are the younger ones, okay? They're very smart, all right? And when you want their attention, hello, John, they grunt. That's the response. They grunt at you. They don't have time to turn their heads because they're totally engaged with their smartphones, all right? And I'm not saying anything is wrong with that, because the smartphone has a world of knowledge at their fingertips. The question is, how do they use it? And how do we encourage them to be smart in using it? All right. So there is an issue with that as well. And many of our parents are not as smart as them in terms of being very technologically conscious to be able to even manage that equipment. Okay. And many of our research showing that parents indicate that they're losing control. And
Mm.
what does that losing control looks like, right? They cannot just turn around to Johnny and say, Johnny, you need to do this, that, that. Johnny has an opinion, which he wants you to respect. And it's not like days of the past when parents could give the command and we obey instantly. They have varying opinions. But the question is, how do we get to that stage where we can partner with them in a common understanding that we have to share the same space and develop within the same context, even though your parents are older? All right. So, how do you do this? I hear the result as well, where parents say, you know what? How do I reach this child? And when you ask the question, do you really know this child? The question is, yes, he's a good boy. What does it mean?
Mm.
He's a good girl. She's a good girl. What does that really mean? Do you know his true inner feelings? And then some complain, well, I want him to be this and I want him to be that. I want him to be a doctor, but he doesn't want to be that. And I'm saying, why do you want to live your life through this child? Don't you know from conception in your womb, he was imbued with his talent and skills? And that as parents, you ought to discover it and help him to discover that. by building his inquiring mind and asking relevant questions so that you can discover who this child is, right? And to partner with him to grow who he is. And I think I'll stop there for a moment. What do you think, my queen?
Well, you're very right. We are living in super challenging times. And yes, the Internet of Things is of no help, if you ask me. But I would throw the question back to you, because if I start saying what I think, we're not going to leave this platform today, because I am pro Internet of Things.
I
Because
am too.
exactly. So, what do you think could be a solution to helping both the parents and the children cope with this new normal that we found ourselves in?
Well, I will say this, that it's going to take a partnership beyond the home. Because, yes, we have them in our home, nurturing and helping to socialize them, but they have access to the wider world out there,
Mm-hmm.
access to the schoolroom, the classroom,
Mm-hmm.
where the teacher is the parent, so to speak, and trainer.
Mm-hmm.
They go
Mm-hmm.
to church and they have the pastor. They go to the playground and they have the social and recreational leaders and teachers out there. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They have their peer groups, right? Little Johnny has 10 friends living in different environments, right? And it is what we call different impactors and villages that have to contend with this child, that this child has to contend with. Okay. You know, there's an African saying that it takes a village to raise a child.
That's
And I
right.
agree with that. But I always add, when I do parenting conferences, that you ought to know who are the members in these villages that you want to put into the lives of your children,
That's a
right?
good point.
To impact them. That's the conditionality.
Oh.
And yes, the village raising the child is a partnership that is being suggested. But the question is, what's the nature of this partnership? Okay. Who are these village members? Okay. And by the way, some of the villages are your extended family members as well. So, all these people, can you guarantee that they mean all good for your child?
Hmm.
Think
Wow.
about it, really.
Wow.
So, how do we strategize, to use these varying resources and understanding how they're impacting your child and how we can make it better so that the impact is positive for transformation, change, and success, rather than an impact or influence that deviates into negativities. All
Hmm.
right.
Hmm.
And that is why we have this theme for the 21st century, the partnership approach, in understanding exactly what it means. We are not throwing out the old for the new, but
Hmm.
we want to see how you can use those same interrelationships to build a better world.
Hmm.
Seriously. All right. And so we have certain questions that we need to look at seriously, right? We know teachers teach. They
Mm-hmm.
have those little ones in the classroom every single
Mm-hmm.
day. Well, now COVID changed all that.
Yeah,
But whether they go online or they're in the classroom, they're going to be impacted by their teachers. All
that's right.
right. And it's not only children, but youth, university students, all that and more, right? Where
Mm.
they go to get content to be able to develop a new career, etc. Doctors treat, yes, they have an impact.
Mhm.
Okay. Pastors preach, or I don't know, it would depend on your religious flavor. Okay. Parents help children. That is fundamental to reach for their future. Okay. And all these impactors, not to mention the extended family framework and the intergenerational connections with grandparents and
Mhm.
younger ones and in betweeners, right? So you have the grandparents and the great grandparents and the parents and the children, the extended family, all these villages. right? So, what are some of the critical questions that we are facing right now, right? What are some of these critical questions facing community, parents,
Mhm.
schools, and even your caregiver nanny? She's
Mhm.
impacting that life as well, if you
Mhm.
have one in your home,
Mhm.
right? In raising our children and youth for this present 21st century, right? What are the things that are making things different in changing the paradigm? And then, are all these impactors aware
That's
of
a
what
great
is
point.
changing? What
Mm.
do we do to help liberate the child's true self? All right. How to reconnect with our children and youth so that we can provide the opportunities for them to thrive and prosper.
Mhm.
Do we need to educate ourselves as parents? Maybe we do, in building our own awareness as to how we can do this successfully. And if we don't know, we need to ask. I always ask young parents, when you get pregnant, do you ask yourself, touching your tummy, how will I raise this child? Will I raise this child like my mother and father raised me? And by the way, if the answer is no, that's a red flag. It means that you have to think again. Why are you saying no? You
Mm.
could be saying yes. That's also exciting. What is it that your mother and father did for you that make you want to raise your children the same way?
Mm.
So
Mm.
these are very critical questions to ask when you're pregnant. And that's both father and mothers to be. All right. What is the role of the family and their social cultural values and heritage in raising this child? And by the way, in a multicultural environment, how do you maintain your cultural values, heritage values, and still be able to connect with the world out there where in the playground, his friends are of a different cultural heritage? Think about it. Okay. So, what is the impact of multicultural environment on the social development, nurturing, and socialization process of your children? Think about it. And that leads you to the next question that I want you to contemplate. How can we find common grounds and truths from the cultural diversity to promote a socialization process for the shared or common purpose of humanity that will describe common understanding of the culture of peace, harmony, and compassion that will sustain our human family well beyond the 21st century. And finally, within this framework here, how do we now begin the advocacy and education for that transformation change, where we come together in partnership, not because of my family, but because of the survival of all the families within our shared space, whether it's in school, whether it's in church, in community organization, sports and cultural, out there in the playground, where you don't have separation, but integration of our children. All right? That's where it is important to partner, to teach nurturing foundational principles of morals and ethics, for example, and understanding the importance of human dignity as an inalienable, you can't take it away, human rights. Everyone has this. And once we know this, then we can begin to partner for that change that we seek to promote peace, harmony, and a culture where we respect humanity and human dignity, not because of the color of our skin. or the straightness of our hair. Okay, and I'll
Wow.
pause a moment, my queen.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. You raised a point that I would love you to elaborate a little bit on it. You said that one is how can we maintain our cultural heritage, raising children in a multicultural environment, especially an environment that is dominated by beliefs that we don't agree with from where we come from. Yeah, I want you to talk a little bit more on that. And the second thing that you raised was, well, let's talk about this first, and then I'll bring
Okay.
up the second one.
Okay, so yes, we live in a multicultural environment, and that's good. It's very rich in resources of people and their culture that
Mhm,
all of us together can benefit from in
mhm,
terms of social and economic development of the space in which we share.
mhm,
And by the way, we can start in the school environment, for example,
mhm,
where children of different culture enter the classroom that they share, right, with their different lived experiences. But have we ever considered that these lived experiences are valuable to teach other children as well in that classroom space to understand Johnny because he's Chinese, or Amanda because she's Nigerian, or Craig because he's Caribbean, right? And the many cultures that we find in our environment. These children are going into the classroom. So, in the education framework, for example, we have to make sure we build awareness within our teachers as well about what is culturally relevant so that we can build cultural competencies and skills to embrace and understand other people, though they may look different. There's a centrality to all of this, that we are all human beings that ought to be respected. Okay?
mhm,
So it's from this point of view. At the same time, little Johnny coming from Nigeria, right? With his parents' own cultural values and heritage, happenings. He's living it, but he can share it. When he shares it in the classroom, he's giving understandings for those who don't know,
mhm,
right? Because he's bringing his lived experience to the teaching environment, for example. And there are many opportunities within the syllabus and things that we teach that we can bring in these things. Okay,
mhm,
and to little Sulin, who may be from Vietnam, for example, in terms of his heritage. It's going to be different. And from Carlos, who is from Spanish origin, okay? They all come into the classroom with their lived experience of their culture from home, and they come with it. But we silence them, right? This is where we can begin to respect people's different culture while maintaining our own, because it's
mhm,
valuable, right? So
mhm,
we have to start there. And this is just a beginning. It's a whole plethora of different ideas here. Okay? And you can continue. Nobody's saying that do not teach your children your culture. You ought to, right? That's first principle. But you have to
mhm.
teach them to respect other cultures as well. And the beginning
That's right.
space is in the classroom as well. Okay? I am
Awesome.
one of those educators who advocate for social and emotional learning and culturally relevant pedagogy, especially when they live in a world like this that is so diverse
Mhm,
and where globalization is taking place, where as they grow up, they may want to move around the world to seek jobs in other countries that are not even countries of their original heritage, cultural heritage.
mhm,
So, how do they manage to live in those contexts? How? Hmm? It's very
interesting.
important that we begin to build that awareness and integrate that understanding in our education policies and social development policies,
Mhm,
especially in a multicultural environment like the one
mhm,
we live in. And we
mhm,
all love to live in Canada. We all love to live in Ontario,
mhm.
right? You can go to the Indian festivals and enjoy yourself. You can
That's
go to
right.
the Caribbean festival and eat the the hot peppery jerk chicken, okay, and the fufu from Africa, whatever it is. That's what makes life exciting. But that doesn't mean you're going to change your cultural heritage.
No.
Think about it.
That is so awesome. Thank you for that response. I guess I think you have somewhat responded to my next question, which is I wanted you to clarify this partnership. And if I'm hearing you clearly, the partnership should be between the parents, the teachers, the government, the pastors, the caregivers, the members
Sports
of the
and
village,
cultural clubs in the communities.
cultural clubs, anybody that is involved in the life of our children should
Yes.
be raising these children as partners with the family, the first family, which is at home. So, do you think things like community awareness training could help the parents to know? Because some of these parents don't know how important to be in constant communication with those that are seeing your children longer hours than you in
Yes.
a day.
Yes.
So, what can we do to help families to begin to understand the importance of partnering with anyone that is involved
Mhm.
in your child's life, be it a
Mhm.
piano teacher, their swimming lesson teacher,
Yes.
anybody that is
Yeah.
involved in the child's life?
Yes. That's a very good question because at the end of the day, you are so right. Our children are out of their homes for 24/7. Most of the day they spend in the schoolyard, in
Mhm,
the in the schools with their teachers and peers,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
And this is a very good example of what we need to build awareness, that we need to have that great respect and help our children to develop social and emotional learning skills where they
mhm,
respect each other right there in the playground.
mhm.
Okay, and yes, some of us may think it's a mammoth task, but it really isn't. And parents ought to begin to stand up and say, I need to know. You don't just go to school when there is a problem with your child, right? You should
Mm,
be encouraged
mm,
to call the class teacher. How is Johnny doing? Is there anything that I need to know? Right? And teachers ought to embrace this, because when children know that there's a good relationship between their parents and the teacher, they can't afford to waste time in the school ground and do things, because mommy will know and daddy will know, because daddy will come to school to see how I'm doing, or mommy, right? And this is part of the whole nurturing process, to make sure our children know that as parents we are not against our teachers, right? And our teachers need to embrace the fact that, yes, I need to partner to make sure that the children who sit in front of me, that I know their parents. And it doesn't take any great effort, right? I have been a
mm.
teacher all my life, and major educator as well. And I encourage parents to come to speak to me, even my graduate advanced students, if there's something that you cannot explain to your mom and dad, I am there to help to explain it. Okay? Why are we not doing this?
Ah, yeah.
Why?
That's a
Okay?
big question. I think one of the things that I noticed is um, it's not being encouraged. The parents teacher relationship is not being encouraged.
Yes.
One thing that I personally did while my children were in secondary school was to volunteer. I offer
Yes.
to volunteer so I can be involved, you know.
Yes.
So even though sometimes the teachers think you're coming to check on them
Yes.
somewhat, but if you volunteer to help them take up some load of work from them, even as simple as, teacher's assistant or just
Yeah. Yes.
observing, or when they go on a field trip, you
To
volunteer as a
assist.
mother to go on the field trip with them to help them, bring up the snacks or help them climb the wall or to help them change into their whatever. Just volunteer your time with them. You get to know the children better because you're spending time in their school environment, and you get to know the teachers also, and you begin to build a relationship with the teachers. So if something begins to happen, guess what? They'll be free, they'll feel free to call you on it right away. One thing I used to scare my children is I tell them, I said, do you guys ever want to see your mom come to your school naked? And they're like, no. I said, okay. So if you do anything wrong, I'm gonna wear a bum short and come with a like a Gucci mama dressed up. I'm coming to your school. So
Yeah.
they're like, oh, I don't want mommy to come to school. So that kept
Yes.
them going, right? It's just my
Yes.
own, way of becoming. I tell people, I said, I became an actress, I became a writer, I became an author, I became a finisher of everyone's fate in my home because
Yes.
you have to act with these children. You have to go into their minds. You have to relate with them, coming
Yes.
from the area where they are coming. Grow with them into the new world, the technology. We
Yes.
share passwords so we know each other's stuff. I know who is emailing. I know where you're emailing to. And,
Yes.
if you're the type that allow your children to get on social media pretty early,
Mhm.
I don't agree with, but if you have to do it, make sure you're watching what they're watching. Even if
Yes.
it's not
And
interesting,
rules. You have rules
with
as
them.
well.
Exactly. Get involved in their life so that when something begins to go wrong, you will catch it very quickly in time, and then we can raise up these resilient children that we are
Yes.
talking about.
Mhm.
Thank you so
I'll
much
give
for
you an example though in terms of that.
Mhm.
And when we do research, we find this out as well. That parents don't really want to talk to their children. They don't really talk to them, have nice conversation with them. Many parents. Some parents do.
Mhm.
But those who don't lose their children because they don't really understand them.
Mhm.
Simple little questions. I always say, it's important for parents to know that they must respond rather than react when their children do anything, because there's a difference, right? Johnny's in your kitchen, he broke a utensil, he broke a glass, and some parents tell her, what you do that for, boy? Why you do that? That's reaction. It frightens the child. Or
Mhm.
that child might be in your kitchen floor playing drums on your pots. And then you say, you're making too much noise in my head. Stop it, Johnny. But you know what? You could be shutting up a genius drummer.
Wow.
So turn around. Johnny, you like to play parts, whatever you want to say. Tell me, do you love that? Yes, mommy. Really? Would you like to get a set to play drums? Yes, mommy, I like it. You see the difference? Then
Mm,
you say, shut up, you're making too much noise. We
mm,
need to begin to help our parents to become consciously aware
mm,
that our children are in our custody for us to do what's best for them. And if you
mm,
don't know how to respond, ask others, you know. But it's important to remember that you are building a partnership with your children and understanding where they know that you are meaning them well so that they can grow resiliently to build themselves in their academic and their career and life pathways, you see. But when you
mm.
shut them up and you shout at them, they step back, they run away from you, not only physically, but in their minds. I can't talk to my mother. She's too rough,
Mm.
right? But sometimes you may not mean it, but that's the
Wow.
impression you give. So they go and they tell other people how they feel, and they don't come to you and confide in you because you don't encourage them to speak. You don't allow them a gentle voice to express themselves to you. And you don't initiate. Many of us, we don't initiate the discussion, talk about anything.
Mhm.
And that's why in online research with people who are experiencing COVID now, parents are saying, I'm tired of being at home with them. They're making too much noise. Some parents are good. They get activities to do with them. And as they do
Right.
these activities, they are learning that their children have talents and skill beyond what they originally thought of.
Yeah.
Think about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That's one
Yeah.
good thing out of COVID, you know. But
Yeah.
see, all right, we react rather than we respond in a
Mm.
gentle manner.
Mm.
Because when you respond in gentleness, you get to build that trust that they're seeking, right?
Mm.
Because they say, Mommy
Mm.
listens, you know. And if I do something wrong, she will correct me, but she will not fight me down and abuse me physically and verbally.
Mm.
We have a lot of unlearning and relearning to do.
That's right. I agree.
Hmm.
Totally agree. I'll take a quick question, but before I do that, just to buttress what you're saying, during this lockdown, doing activities with your children, my youngest daughter has come up with her own hairline product for
Yes,
afro hair. And
goodness.
yeah, she's discovered that this is something she likes, and I'm encouraging her. So, guys, if
Yes.
you have your afro thick hair that is hard to comb, please talk to me. We have something for you that is going to make your hair really nice. And you guys going
Hmm.
to see me go with my natural hair very
Hmm.
soon because
Hmm.
we're using the product and it's
Yeah.
really working. It's called, if you go on www.simplyhaircare, that's my
Okay.
daughter. Simply Hair. So proud of her. So we're gonna be launching the program soon. I think next week she'll be ready. Actually, her first shipment is going out this week to
You
clients. She has
see?
pre-order.
Exactly. Hmm.
She already has
And there are
pre-orders.
many other young heroes coming out of this COVID, by the way,
I
that are
said it
surprising
before.
their parents and
Yeah,
community,
she really
feeding
surprised
people,
us.
doing a lot of things. We have to search out these young heroes, actually,
Yeah, and
you know?
I said before, I said the next 5 to 10 years, you're gonna have more millionaires under the age of 25, between the age of 14 to 25,
That's
more than
right.
ever before. They're coming
Yes,
because they're super intelligent and they're
yes,
ready to take the world by the storm.
yes. And we
Last two
must
weeks, we
discover and encourage their talents. Yes.
absolutely, absolutely. All right, let's take one or two questions. Let me see. Oh, mine. We take just one question, Dr. Morris. We have only 9 minutes more. So,
Okay. Well, we have
yeah,
next week too.
absolutely. So, let's take this beautiful question from Aja. Is it a question or a comment? But let's see what it is. Why wait till pregnant? The question should arise as one chooses a partner, both are responsible or put responsibility. I think she was referring to when you were saying that when you're pregnant, you have to start asking the question, how do I raise this child? So she said, even when you choose a partner, the discussion should start. I love
Yes,
that. Yes, Aja,
yes,
absolutely.
yes.
Um,
In fact, it is, and it all begins from the foundation of how you were nurtured as well,
mhm,
And on my women development platform, I always say to women, look, you were born and you are enough and you're more than enough, but you
mhm,
settle for less than the best, right? And therefore, you do not get to empower yourself as your divine creator intended for you to be
mhm,
because you
mhm,
give up, you disempower yourself, right? When you do not understand who you are. And as parents, we need to discover who we are too. And not only when we become parents, but as you're growing up, the first question every individual to who am I? What are my
mhm,
skills and my passion? Where do I want to go? These are questions that will allow you to delve deep inside of you, to
mhm.
really begin to understand who you are because you have a brain, you're a body, but you're also a
Right.
mind and soul. There's spirituality. And by the way, that's where your authentic self lies. Okay. And so when we nurture our children, our girls in particular, we like to dress them up in pretty clothes. And it's
Yeah.
all about the physicality of who they are. But we don't delve deep to understand that person inside of that beautiful child on the outside. Okay,
Mm,
and get to understand. And it's the same for our boy child as well. Okay, and these are the kind of partnering and understanding. And if we don't know, we must be enlightened to get to know so that
that's
we
all.
can be better parents.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Dr. Morris.
You're
Five
most
more
welcome.
minutes, but in line with the topic today, you're coming up with a book that is going to help
Yeah,
parents and children and teachers and everyone involved in the life of a child.
yeah.
You want to talk to us a little bit about it the next 2 minutes before we round up here?
Well, it's all about parenting by deliberate design,
I
not
love
leaving it to chance because there's no manual around to tell us how to. But
Mhm.
we do research and we see what's work, and we gather all these physical evidence and best practices and so on, and we need to make these things available. So it's really looking at using all the internet of things sign hashtag new parenting
Mhm.
21st century. It's really looking at parenting in the 21st century, right? And how we are going to partner with our children in the internet of things and all that, and how we are going to have to give them, room to be who they are, but also to understand the world in which they are living. For example, we discover right now that our Gen Zers, right, this latest one, I call them the I generation, because it's all about internet and the iPhone and the whatever, the I generation,
Yeah.
they are great consumers and they don't like to shop in the malls.
All
They're going
right.
online. Think about it. For all
Yeah.
these retail people who have their physical plant, and yet you have a growing generation that is very aware. That's all about online shopping, for example.
Mhm.
Hmm?
Mhm.
Think about it. But we can approach this, and the book will come out in another 2, 3 months, as long as I finalize that. And we will tell you more about it. Because I'm already getting so excited, people calling,
Awesome.
asking about it.
Awesome.
So
And you
I
guys
aim
can
to
go ahead
share.
and pre-
Yes.
okay. And you guys can go ahead and pre-order that book. You can either do that through the Queen Amina show. My number is rolling right under it, or
Yeah.
send me
And
an
there's a
email.
website for it
Queen
as well.
Amina
Yeah.
Queen Amina show at gmail.com. And like
Yes.
she said, there's a website. What's the website, Dr. Morris?
It's New Age Pen. I'll write it in on next Monday to get
All right.
everything in sync. Yes.
All right. So, guys, look out for that. We are going to continue our More Monday every Monday for now with Dr. Marlyn Morris. So, stay tuned, stay connected. And the last Monday of this session, we are going to do a giveaway, just like
Yes.
we are doing tomorrow for the Entrepreneurship Bootcamp. So, for
Yes.
those of you that have been following the Entrepreneurship Bootcamp, make sure you send us tomorrow is the deadline. Actually, today is the deadline. Send us what you have written in line with what you've been listening to on the 3 sessions of the entrepreneurship bootcamp. Tomorrow, we're going to be announcing the giveaway, and one person is going to walk away with some fat prize. So we want you to learn. We want you to improve yourself. We don't want you to just listen to the show and be entertained and leave. We want to actually walk with you, just like the young girl story
Yes.
that I shared from learning with Dr. Morris and what
Yes.
she went ahead to do. For
And they
me,
can also, my queen, before I forget, they can also send me an email of any question they may have. And
absolutely.
I'm prepared to answer it.
Give us your email address. Is Doc
Yes.
Morris with two
Doc
N.
M Morris at gmail.com. DocMMorris at gmail.com. And
Awesome.
next Monday, we will also put it out as well.
Awesome. Thank
Right?
you guys so much for tuning in
Thank you.
today. Blessings, ladies. Loving the show. Thank you, Janita. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone that had connected on the Queen Amina show today. So please look out for tomorrow's show, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on Facebook and YouTube. And it's going to be entrepreneurship boot camp final day. So if you're looking to start your own brand new business, don't miss the show tomorrow. And we will see you 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on Facebook and YouTube. And today's show, it's brought to you by Zara Tours out of Tanzania. So if you ever want to tour the East African coast, make sure you're connecting with me. The website is www.zaratours.com. She's sponsoring the show for the month of July. Thank you so much, Mama Zara, for sponsoring the Queen Amina show. Her website is always posted on the comment section. Our website is coming up, so you have flyers, the link to the website, everything is going to be there. East Africa is one of the most beautiful places on earth. I was there last year and I took tours with them. Every single place I stayed I was treated like I was in a 7-star hotel. Yes, you heard me right. 7-star hotel treatment. If anybody have stayed in a 7-star hotel before, they have lots of them in Dubai, you would know exactly what I'm talking about. This is how these people treat you in the middle of the bush. You can imagine having fresh orange juice, tropical juices, freshly brewed, warm towels to clean your hands as you walk in, somebody opening the car doors for you, I mean, like, it's just out of this world. There's food 24 hours. Everywhere you're walking around the hotel, somebody is standing holding a white, clean, warm towel and a drink and champagne. And I mean, like, unbelievable treatment. And this is all in a very minimal package. So she's supporting us. I would love you guys to support her. So if you ever want to take a trip to Tanzania or anywhere in East African coast, connect with me or go on Zaratos. There's a code there that you would put on the Queen Amina show and you get a super, super duper discount to go. All right. So, Dr. Marlyn Morris,
Yes.
thank you so much for your time today.
You're most
God
welcome.
bless
It
you for
was a pleasure.
1 hour with us. And we'll see you
Thank
next week,
you.
Monday.
Thank you.
All right. Have a fantastic day. All right, guys. One thing I would ask you guys to do for me is please share the broadcast, post a watch party, invite family and friends to watch this broadcast so that somebody will get blessed from watching us. And always connect with us 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Facebook and YouTube. I need you guys to please subscribe to our YouTube channel because you're helping to grow that channel. Once the channel is grown with some really good numbers of people, we can begin to, do adverts for things that you are doing. It is our channel for us. So let's grow it up together. It won't cost you nothing to click subscribe and click the bell button. And follow me on Instagram and follow us on Facebook. One thing I want you guys to look out for this year, also coming up pretty soon, is October 4th would be our celebration of all the COVID heroes, all the essential workers during this pandemic, and every other heroes out there around the world. And one of the things that we've achieved this year is the limitation of not having to be able to gather people in one place. So we're going to do the Vigo Awards International Hero Celebration virtually. So you can actually connect from anywhere in the world. All you need to do is go on Eventbrite, register yourself, and you get a special link that you can connect to the award show. So look out for more information coming up. The nomination is open live on our website. It's www.vigoawards.org. Vigorawards.org. So go nominate your hero there, and one of our team members will get in touch with you. Until tomorrow, same time, same place, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Queen Amina Show. Have yourself a fantastic rest of your day.